Hi everybody, it's Peter the Toy and it's the Betway Beat brought to you by SoccerBeat, and I've got the man that needs no introduction. You've all asked for him. I've brought him back, so say thank you. Muhsin Ertugral. Muhsin, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, Peter. Thank you. Thank you for having me in the show. Thank you for seeing a lot of fans asking questions. Wonderful.
It is. It's great to see how popular you are. Muhsin, would you prefer to be sitting on one of the two benches or watching the game from the stands?
No. At the moment, I'm quite happy. Watching from away, because in the end, Peter, you need to be completely involved to have hands on to change a certain way. Otherwise, only from outside is only that we see. Which actually football dynamism completely different what you see from outside. So you need to be involved to understand all the dynamics. And sometimes, obviously, we try to assume from outside and have some ideas, but the reality sometimes is completely different.
Yeah. So if you look at this game from a Kaizer Chiefs point of view, obviously the game is important for both teams and both sets of fans. But for Chiefs, this is really a very, very important game, this Carling Knockout Cup, because realistically, I don't think Chiefs will win the league. I don't think they've got the squad and the legs in this particular season. There's obviously progress under Nabi, but realistically, I think Chiefs fans would call it a huge bonus if they won the league. So a cup is critically important. Sundowns fans, on the other hand, believe they'll win the league, and the cup is important, but obviously not as important as Africa and the league. So this is critical for Chiefs. But if you compare the two teams, it's almost a game of two squads. Kaizer Chiefs have got a thin squad, a young squad. Sundowns have got three squads, and experienced squads. Sundowns squad knows how to win things. This Chiefs squad hasn't won things. How does this Chiefs team beat Sundowns? I mean, it's not they lost before. It's not an easy exercise. Can they beat Sundowns?
Pretty much, they can beat Sundowns. I'm also really believing that they can beat, not only beating Sundowns, they can. I think there's a lot of chances that they can have the possibility to win it. Cup games are different, Peter. I mean, I won 11 trophies in my career, and mostly cups and knockout stages. And there's a complete different. You never need to forget about the emotions of the players. So the cup games, that's a one out. And so on that day, there will be Kaizer Chiefs firing all on cylinders. Players will be completely motivated, but also the danger part of it. There's also two parts of it that you need to see. If there's any loss, I will get a little bit over before we come to the tactical parts. Any loss of Kaizer Chiefs will be a disaster of the season, but I don't see that as a disaster for the mental stage of the players, because that's then the work comes for Nabi in then, if that's the case. But for your question, I think that's a pretty good chance to win it. So this type of games are emotional games. The stadium is going to be packed. They will be pumped, everything in. The emotions are very high. Sometimes it's just not the tactical aspects. It's just the players' emotion on the day, the decisions on the day. They will decisions on the referees, change the game dynamics. So it is important that to understand that this one-off game can anyone to. I see that many times when Bayern Munich lose against the third division team. It happened to Bayern Munich many times. When they play the cup games in the German Bundesliga, when they play these German Federation Cups, I don't know how many times they lost against the third division teams. So the motivational aspects, it's very, very, very high of Kaizer Chiefs side, which I think Sundowns will play much more with routine. They have a certain routine in, but there's also danger in Sundowns' approach because they're chopping and changing the team. I was never a friend of it. When you look to international football, where the success is coming into teams, are always a momentum going on, and the momentum is staying in rhythm. And I rather play Wednesday, Sunday, and stay completely in the rhythm, have less training sessions, but being in the rhythm, keeping the momentum going. This chop and changes has last week proven that there is a problem into that because of a huge spot. So for your question, Chiefs has a big chance to win it.
I want to come back to the Sundowns question, rotation, and the rhythm in the team. I want to just challenge your Chiefs view. Not that I'm saying Chiefs won't win, but if I look at Chiefs, and for Chiefs to beat Sundowns, I think they've got to be playing at the top of their game. And that's, you've said the same, and the emotions and so on and so forth, and the crowd support. Sereno, he's a big part of this. A big part of this Chiefs winning. Surely Sundowns, if they take him out the game, does that not? Do you not feel that they'll take him out the game? And then I battle to see where the goals are going to come from. If it's not coming from Sereno or Sereno creation.
Yeah, what I'd liked in the last game of Kaizer Chiefs, the first half was, for my opinion, a disaster against SuperSport. The way how actually SuperSport have organized themselves in direction of Chiefs was very good. But then we looked into the halftime, and I was waiting when they come out after halftime, what kind of approach is happening there. And that's where you see the signature of the coaches. And the build-up process was only with two. So that means the first line of the opponents, you had more players in front of the first line of the opponents. So the pressing moments was not happening with SuperSport. This is not a team that pressurized. But the first line is very important. How do you get into the lines? So Chiefs build-up was with two, and they had more players in front of, and so in the windows and in the channels. So actually in the halftime that happened that the coach and the technical team actually advised what to do, and you could see that the meters what Chiefs won in the attacking formats now was much more in approach. Besides they lost the game. For me, it's important what is happening in the game. So that showed me that Chiefs is understanding that they're getting 15, 20 minutes, 20 meters forward. They pin the opponents that they can't come out. So the only chance for SuperSport would come out was over the wings. So the first ball, second one. So they won the ball back because they were sitting. And what happened is that they won the balls back. And the important part of Chiefs, you could see behind the back lines, behind the sidelines, the first balls to the side, keep the second, keep the third. And that opened a lot of gaps into the transition in the opponent part. So that SuperSport had that several times, where then actually Chiefs could also themselves then rectify these issues. And I call that the security system or security patterns. When you lose the ball, you have 3+1 or 2+1 behind the ball in certain areas, and maybe closing the ball, the middle, and open the sides. So because over the sides it takes longer to go to the target as getting straight to the target through the middle. So there are elements that I think you could see the coaches are working on it, and they've realized that where the challenges are. And that's for me where when a coach realizes or technical team realizes and working with the team in that aspects, when you lose the ball, you look into the moments when you lose the ball, the build-up processes. What are the patterns in the second and third zones? How do you enter certain zones? And I think the way of Chiefs with the second and third balls are actually very, very dangerous when they get into counter-attacking. Yes. So when they get into counter-attacking. So they have also a team that can sit back and have a defensive line that is not that bad. So the point is that how much patience the fans have, even if Sundowns, so the game dynamism is different. So when it comes that Sundowns get into leading the game, so what is Chiefs going to do? What are the answers? So these are the elements that you have, the plan A, plan B, plan C. And I think that's where they're working on it now at the moment.
Great points, Muhsin. I want to come back to them. We're going to take a short break. And then I'm going to also talk to you about the fans' expectations of Nabi and the Nabi ball and the euphoria around the coach. I'll come back to you.
You see, it was this game that turned boys into giants. Even today's aces inherited the name from those who came before. Forever.
Welcome back, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe and to follow our social media channels and to comment. We read all your comments and we do take cognizance of them. Muhsin, fantastic explanation there, and I agree with you. 2 points I want to make about that. One, the fans' expectations of Nabi and this current Kaizer Chiefs team. Obviously, there's a cup game and it's a one-off, and obviously the expectations can be high there because anybody can beat anybody in a cup in a one-off game. But this euphoria around Coach Nabi, we can understand why. Number one, they've had a very poor team for the last X amount of years, and the football that they've played has been very poor, yet they're now playing off the front foot, they're exciting and so on. Is the expectation of Nabi and the so-called Nabi ball too high at the moment? If you were Nabi, you're happy, but surely you're a bit concerned that the expectation is going out of control.
It is under control, not under control. It is too far. The whole story, what is happening now with the fans, obviously it's fantastic to have this. There is no fan, let me say, group like in South Africa, like Kaizer Chiefs fans. I mean, you can see they have, in my time when we had these success stories, we had, if I'm not mistaken, it was 33,000 in that season in average. So the stadium was full. It's a very, very high number. And so people came into because of, they saw a first spectacle, a good football, and also their own team winning most of the time. So, and bringing trophies. So the point for me is that there is no magic stick. The coach came in, then he needs to work. He needs to understand the cultural background of the players. He needs to understand the way of the team. He needs to rectify mistakes. But rectifying mistakes, it takes you too much time. So you need to look into how can you have, the good part of a team, the success part of a team, the strong part of a team, to bring it on, that you make the strong side stronger. It's easier to make a good side better as the weak point better. So that needs a lot of time, because you need to change the mind, the habits. So we always, like in Ballon d'Or yesterday, everybody is discussing why not Vinicius, why Rodri. It's very clear, it's the way how people think. You know, everybody wants to see the virtuous person on the ball. South Africa also love the virtuous players on the ball, they're standing on the ball. But you need to have that balance in the team. So the collectiveness has to be in synergy with the individual part. So we had Jabopoulos, he had the freedom in the second, or when they received the ball in the second area, to enter in the third area. He had the freedom to take players on, to get behind defensive lines. But when we moved left, we knew what we're going to do on the right. When we moved to the second zone, we knew what we're going to do as a security system the moment when we lose the ball. What are we going to do? Who's going to be the protective side part of the defensive line? How are we going to maneuver the ball in certain areas so that we can recover? So we give certain areas an open side, and we covered the other side and push them to the side. So we didn't jump out of the collectiveness. There's a lot of individual work into it, and players need to understand that. And some players that have the habits to do that, some players don't have the habits for it. So I explained that now long. The coaches need time for that. I think Nabi it's a good coach. He understands the dynamism of South African football. But in the end, there are youngsters. That's a completely new team build up, completely new technical part. And obviously, with that vibe, what is happening is an expectation of fans and really getting this one cup under the belt. It's such a big pressure on the players day by day. And they're human, and obviously they're young boys, and there are so many youngsters. So if that goes in the bin, that's going to be a problem for the next couple of months. There, where actually you can see what kind of coaches are in, how to manage to get this team back to the track that they can challenge. So it will take a bit time, but they mustn't. And I feel a bit sorry for the whole situation for Nabi, because it has been created too much hype into that. Good coaches can make bad teams probably not, winning titles, but they're going to get the team better. But a good teams with bad coaches can win the league.
Very good point. Very good. And it's happened all over the world. Muhsin, just still on the Chiefs. And do you think the Chiefs' defense, I mean, the one thing Nabi's had the same back four, basically back five, including the goalkeeper for every game. And his two holding midfielders, well, I wouldn't say two holding midfielders, but the back five have been very consistent. Do you think defensively they strong enough to hold out Sundowns in a cup game? I mean, the pace of the game is going to be different. Sundowns are not going to stroll through this.
For sure not. For Sundowns is also very important to get. Obviously the technical side wants some certain degree of success. It's very much important. Besides, at this point in time, when you look to Sundowns at the moment, it's not very convincing, because also he's still not finding the technical side has still not find the right balance, the right rhythm into the team. The team plays in certain patterns. Certain players need to understand blindly. I call that the automatism. So you call up in your subconscious minds. You don't, when you receive the ball, when you start to think, it's already passed Today's football is under 2 seconds receiving and passing. So that means Sundowns has always a slow build-up processes. But Sundowns has also certain, so they will play with a 6, probably Rivaldo in the build-up process. So if Chiefs close Rivaldo in the build-up process, now Sundowns is forced to play the ball side, to the sides. And now you can bring your side, your wingers already 10 meters up, because you know you're closing Rivaldo, and the ball has to come to the wing in the build-up processes, over the wing. So if the Chiefs can be sitting on Sundowns very early, that will, in the build-up process, completely be interrupted. So you will see suddenly long balls in there, and finding a certain solution or individual solutions. So that is, Chiefs need to interrupt Sundowns' automatism, or the way of Sundowns all those years have played. And that's where I would that was my success story. Or I would go for that to interrupt the automatism formats, the usual part of Sundowns play, that they need to take decisions that they're not used to, and that will make them vulnerable, probably.
Yeah. Paula Kawani, to a certain extent, did that when they beat them last weekend, because they weren't typical low block, but that's a different discussion. If you look at the Sundowns side, Muhsin, though, if you were on the coach's bench, then I'm not asking you to talk about the coach specifically, but you've got a squad of 3 teams, and if I go through that team, I don't go through the players. There's 14 midfielders on its own. All coaches want a good squad of players, but I think it could be a big problem. I think it's a big problem for the Sundowns bench that they've got so many players. How would you handle it? Is it a plus factor for the coaches, or is it a negative?
No, it's never a plus factor. It's never a plus factor. It can never a plus factor, Peter. In the end, you need to keep the intensity high. So the team needs to be in high intense. So you cannot chop and change every week players. You have a certain players that they need to play. Also the certain egos that there was nothing broken. So the team was extremely successful. So actually the rhythm was there. You don't need to change a lot. So being good to certain number 33, it doesn't make any sense for me. Because also, how do you train these players? How do you get the intensity higher? That's a very... So I had in Austria 18 players. I had by Sivasspor 22 players. I had with Kaizer Chiefs when we won the Africa Cup, we had 14 players. So it's just but that kept the momentum. So that kept the momentum going on, the intensity very high with the team. So everybody knew each other, what they're going to do when they have a certain type. Ball is played in a certain area, the opposite side or front of the ball or behind the ball. Everybody knew what's going to happen. The next steps. So we knew already, like playing in chess, the first next 2, 3, 4 steps we knew already ahead. So obviously then the individual players that can find solution can then find the solution by their own. But you have always this collectiveness when you lose the ball. You have the collectiveness when certain attacking formats happen, and there's the opposite side attacking formats or preparation is happening. So by Sundowns actually now, for me, it's always everybody wants to play. It doesn't matter how much money you get on and you're sitting on the stands. Players want to play. These young boys want to play, and their career is a short time. And obviously, how do you find the combination together? Is also, you can find. Why do you find these best orchestras in the world are working together years by years? Everybody can play the notes. Everybody can, but the nuances between the lines, between the notes, are those ones who makes the team tick, and that's what has been at the moment by Sundowns missing, from my opinion. So the concept is obviously they have a certain way of concept that they've created all those years. Everybody knows them, but with the new players now coming in, and not only 1 or 2. When you have 4, 5, 6 new players coming into the squad that they're not used to play to each other, that will make a lot of havoc, from my opinion.
Muhsin, it's interesting you mentioned that. Let's use Chelsea as an example in the English Premier League. Last season, Chelsea had a squad of, 40 players, kind of similar to Sundowns, and finished nowhere, and they fired the coach. They brought the new Italian coach in. The first thing he did, he said, I've got 22 players. The rest of you are definitely not going to play. You're training somewhere else. You don't exist as far as I'm concerned. I didn't mean that in a nasty way. He said, I can only deal with 22 players. I've got 2 players position. If I need a new player, I'll get one of the youngsters. And they're in the top 4, and they're going to challenge for the league title. So that's something maybe Sundowns should think of. But they never really had to think of it because the opposition in South Africa hasn't been there until now. Pirates and Chiefs maybe, and are going to give them a bigger run for their money. If you look at the Sundowns team, though, are there players that you would say, if you were coaching the team, and I'm just not trying to tell the coach what to do, but are there players there that any big coach would say, you are always in my starting lineup? You are the heartbeat of this team. You're the spine of this team. I mean, I look at just simply Madao, the right back.
Madao Mokoena.
Yeah, I think Madao could play in the English Premier League. If you're listening out there, Madao, your agent should send you to. He's a top player. I mean, Marina's a top player as well. Mokoena, I mean, look at him for Bafana.
No doubt. There is even no discussion.
Yeah. Well, I think these are things that possibly, and how, Muhsin, just taking that question a little further, when you've got such a big squad, surely it's impossible for everybody to be happy. And if you've got even 22 players in your first team training ground, they've still got another 10, 11 players playing somewhere else, bringing the mood down, and I've been an ex-player, you've been an ex-player, you've coached players, if you're not in the team, you don't like the coach, you don't like the club, you don't like the players, you almost want them to lose. It's subconsciously, whether you say, yes, come on guys, but in your heart, you want to take that guy's place. I think this season with a better Pirates and a better Chiefs, there's a lot more pressure on Sundowns, and I think we could see the best out of Sundowns because of this, because they're going to be pushed. But in a cup game, anything can happen. You don't see Sundowns, the quality that they have, the absolute quality, and he brings out the big guns. You don't think they're too big for Chiefs? Just too good for Chiefs? You don't think that?
There's a one-off game, Peter. It goes a lot of about also emotions during the game, and some players can always rise to another equation and another level, and obviously that is a 50-50 game at all, and I think even Chiefs has a bit up end, but there's also a bit of danger in it. So I've been very cautious about it. And for Sundowns, I mean, players, I always say that I want my players to know already in my last training session on Thursday or Friday, before I'm playing Saturday or Sunday, the lineup already. When we do the build-up processes, standard situations, and then if you're honest to the players, and then players know exactly that they're going to start. And when I was a player, and I didn't know that I'm going to start when I was between that I couldn't sleep. So how are you going to get the player mentally focused on certain aspects of the game when you don't know if you're playing or not? Some players, the coaches are decide on Sunday. It would make me crazy. So it costs you havoc. So long the football has an old dynamism, we can interpret from everything from outside, but inside the life inside of this team, it's a complete different story. So that can only be said by people that live or been in this dressing room. So, from my opinion, everybody wants to play, and the point for me is that when success is there, everybody keeps quiet. But the moment when certain aspects are not anymore there, then you will see there's a lot of question marks. And this is a result-oriented game. It doesn't, and especially when you lose against Polokwane, it carries you. It carries in your mind as a player when you get into the field. What is happening when we're going to lose it again? So it is such and it gives them own dynamic. And that is the part where Chiefs could really, first 20 minutes, half an hour punch them. So these are elements, you know how to box, and you're in this sport very long years you do that, and you know how it is when you physically very good prepared but mentally not there. So that's a huge problem. And I say it's not the noise that you're doing; it's about that you're focusing what you're doing. And I think on the dynamism of the dressing room at the moment of Sundowns, it is a very vital game for them as well. So if they manage to come over Chiefs, that will give them boost for the next couple of months. But if not, then you will see pieces of Sundowns falling apart. And I'm 100%, this is maybe a big word, but I think that will then be for the technical part, technical side, very, very huge mountain to climb.
Well, we're going to take a short break then, Muhsin. I'm going to ask you for a prediction. So have a good think about that. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Betway is giving customers a chance to win big with their 4 to score free weekly prediction. Simply predict the first teams to score in 4 Betway Premiership matches, and you could win 50,000 Rand. Scan the QR code on screen now to enter. Get way more with Betway. Standard T's and C's apply.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the Betway Beat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And follow us on our social media platforms and support our sponsor, Betway. Muhsin, give us a prediction. Kaizer Chiefs.
Obviously, my heart is.
Before you give the prediction, if we look at the two squads, in my opinion, Sundowns should win the game. If you look at the two squads.
Unfortunately, this game is not played on paper. So that's what football is, and not unfortunately for Sundowns, fortunately for Chiefs. I think it's going to be in extra time. I don't think so. It's going to be this is my personal feeling, and I think then Chiefs will make it.
Cool.
Chiefs will come through.
2-1 to Chiefs.
I don't know the score, but it will be an extra time. I personally think it will be an extra time, and I think Chiefs will come through.
Okay, that's a big shout. Chiefs fans, you'll be very pleased to hear that. Muhsin, by the way, I've watched many a game with Muhsin, umpteen games, and I must admit, I've always thought I've got to fill out my betting form on Betway with you, Muhsin, because I reckon you've probably got the highest success rate of calls during a game, never mind before a game. I've sat with him and he said to me, there's a goal coming in the next 5 minutes. Bang. I feel I should have made a phone call. I would have made 10,000 Rand out of that. But there you go. Muhsin, just before let's move away quickly from the Carling Cup. Bafana, a great win over Congo, and obviously the game was a little bit open. Bruce, he's done. What do you think of the job he's done with Bafana?
Fantastic. I mean, they play with integrity. They play with the heart. You can see. I've never seen South African national team playing that kind of football with the possibility what they have in the last couple of years. So I just hope when these boys get on the field, you can see the self-belief. And I mean, always had the chance also to speak one of my loved players, Aubrey Modiba. And Aubrey also is very, very happy the way how he's been treated in the national team, the way how he's been, how he can put his personal way of playing into the big pot of Bafana. Bafana is a part of this national team. So it makes me happy to see this. These players are very, very confident. And that's, again, this dynamism of the game. If these guys are confident, not overconfident, but confident, that's a great way to see South Africa now playing. There is limitations. We all know that. And the ladder must be not that high so that they also can achieve that what is being possible and not speaking to them a certain part of impossibilities. And what is the main objective is to come to the Africa Cup. The main objective is to qualify for the World Cup. So these are the elements that they need to go to that. That's also for us, for Turkey now. Euro, we did very well. World Cup is the biggest topic that has been there. So the demands are very high. Everybody is expecting very high, but I think South Africa has done pretty good with when you look to the body language, the dynamism of the team, the possibility what they have. Obviously, the coach is, and that was a big debate last couple of months or weeks. So he spoke about something about Sundowns players, and the coach of Sundowns gave an answer. So that's actually, that should be handled a bit behind closed doors. I know my time we had also those issues. Sometimes you say something in words and emotions that you don't mean actually. Obviously he needs to see, as Bruce has for South African, only a little bit of play around. He depends on clubs. He doesn't. He have 2 days, 3 days, 4 days to prepare a team, sometimes a week. So he depends on clubs. So there are certain players in his mind that he wants to use, but they're not playing. So these are, in the end, some elements that he's worried about, but shouldn't be publicly.
Yeah, Muhsin, I would love to see you in charge of development of South African football. But that's I'm gonna interview the SAFA guys at some stage, and if it's not you, somebody like yourself. But you're South African. You're one of us. You're passionate about our football. You understand our players. You understand our young players in particular. So hopefully one day we see it. But I'm going to talk to you after the game, some stage. Let's see how your prediction goes. Muhsin, once again, you're a star. Everybody, thank you for watching. We'll be back. I know you support. Muhsin, thanks.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you, Peter.
Liaka!